Okay, this is your literary dictation for the performance challenge done on week number 6. Paragraph. There are always two sides to every story, period. Sometimes it is very hard for people, especially people who are called upon to serve on a jury, to find out what the truth really is, period. When you are listening to someone tell his or her story, it seems like they have just the right way to put things to make it look like it was the fault of the other person in the accident, period. Paragraph. Such is the case in this particular cause of action we are having you listen to today, period. I hope you will be able to listen to all of the evidence and come to a decision as to which person should win this case, period. Paragraph. This is an action that has been brought by the plaintiff to recover damages for injuries that he received when he was hit by a car, period. He is claiming that he was a pedestrian who was hit by the defendant in the case, and she was driving her car down the street, period. The injury happened at the intersection of West 51st Street and California Avenue in Chicago, period. Paragraph. Here is the testimony that you will hear from both sides in this case, period. The defendant will tell you that she was driving a car down the street in this city, period. She stopped for the red light at the intersection, period. We have shown you pictures of this intersection, and you can see that it is controlled by traffic lights, period. Paragraph. She says that she saw that there was a bus parked along the curb to her right, period. She stopped a few feet back from the bus, from the front of the bus, period. She then watched as several people got off the bus and crossed the street in front of her car, period. Her car did not move forward at all, and she remained stopped there for a few seconds, period. When the light turned green, she started to move, period. Paragraph. Right at that time, the time that she started to move, she saw a man running from the curb, period. When she saw him for the first time, he was about 4 feet to the right of her car, period. He ran across the street in front of her car at that time, period. All of a sudden, for no reason that she could see, he turned around and ran back, period. It was at this point that she hit the plaintiff with the right front fender of her car, period. She said she slammed on her brakes before the impact, but did not sound her horn, period. All she did was start up and go forward when the light turned green for her, period. She had no idea why this man decided to stop and run back across the street at that time. She feels like there was nothing that she could do at that point in time to avoid hitting the man, period, paragraph. She said many times in her testimony that she had slowed down as she approached this intersection because she saw that the light was red, period. There were no cars in front of her, comma, and it was at the time that she saw the bus that had pulled over along the curb to her right, period, paragraph. She also said she was stopped at the red light, comma. It looked to her like 5 or 6 people got off the bus and crossed in front of her car, period. That was fine, comma, because she still had the red light, period. She said that when the light turned green, her car remained standing still for a few seconds before she entered the intersection, period. It was at the time that she was entering the intersection that she saw this pedestrian running, period. She saw him and came up to the intersection at a slow speed, period. Everything was just fine, comma, until the man turned around for no reason that she could tell and came back in front of her, period. It was at that time, comma, of course, comma, that the collision with the man occurred, period, paragraph. As you can imagine, comma, the story of the plaintiff is a little different from that of the defendant, period. He took the stand in his own behalf and stated that the morning of the accident he was riding the bus to work, period. He got off the bus at the intersection where the accident occurred because that was where he always got off in order to go to his job, period. He said he got off the bus with about 5 or 6 other people and began to cross the street, period. He realized that he had forgotten his briefcase, comma, so he turned around and went back to the bus, period. It was at that time that he started across the intersection once more, period. His testimony is that the cars still had a red light when he started across the second time, period. He never saw the car of the defendant before the accident occurred, period. He could not tell us anything about the location of the car or the color of the car or if the driver was a man or a woman, period. All he knew for sure was that the light was still red for the car, comma, and as a pedestrian, comma, he had the right of way to cross the street, period, paragraph. He was at that time hit by the car, period. He suffered many injuries as a result of this accident, period. He is suing to recover damages for medical expenses and for loss of time for work, period, paragraph. The jury found that he was guilty of contributory negligence, period. They also ruled that the defendant was not guilty of anything as a matter of law, period, paragraph.